Good morning, you lovely lot, and welcome to Claret and Booze. I'm Nick, and this is my daily ramble. Now, look, I'm not going to go and speak any more about the game at the weekend, other than to say, look, if it wasn't already crystal clear to Moyes and the ball just how short we are in the squad as we approach these final weeks of the window, then that game will have, it will have cleared that up. Any doubt that there was, it will have cleared that up. Moyes himself bemoaned his lack of options as well after the game, didn't he? I think, what did he say? I think he said the team's gone stale, which roughly translates to, I need more players now, Sullivan, so pull your finger out. That's how I sort of interpreted it anyway. Now, as a result, we're linked to a raft of players in every position that we've been calling out for now, with bids flying in left, right and centre. So look, the Man City game, in a sense, we might look back at it and it might have saved our season because it might have kicked their asses into gear. Now look, before we get started with today's Transfer Bonanza special, if you are new to the channel, give the video a watch, and if you enjoy it, please subscribe and don't forget to hit that like button for us. Okay, now let me give you a brief run through of today's talking points. Now first off, we're going to be looking at the injury status ahead of the Forest game at the weekend, and then we're going to discuss the players that are rumoured to be heading out of the exit door. We've heard the names already, but I'm going to run through them again. And then finally, the juicy bit, where I'm going to give you a comprehensive run-through of all of the players that we're currently linked with. And yes, there's a lot of new names, so stick around for them. So look, let's get down to business. Let's start with the treatment room. Now, as we all saw, Fabianski, he injured himself, didn't he, at the weekend? Now, the rumour coming from the club is that it was no more than kind of a dead leg or hip, whatever, caused by a bit of an impact injury, and he's expected to make a full recovery at the weekend. So he'll be available, which is good. Okay, it's good. Antonio and Bowen, they both picked up minor knocks in that game as well, but they are expected to be available. I think we saw that they both Antonio especially, when he kind of went up for that header, didn't he, and landed funny. So yeah, hopefully they'll be available. Now Skamakaveni, he is available for the game, as we know, but he's still not 100% match fit. So whether or not Moyes starts with him, I don't know. I hope he does. Dawson has got a thigh strain, and he's still a doubt for this weekend, which is a big blow. And Ogbonna, he's quite a way away from full fitness. Around about a month, they're saying, so he's not going to be featuring anytime soon. And Aguirre, as we know, he's not expected to return until after the World Cup. So for the time being, Zuma is our only fit centre-back. Right, now let's move on to the rumoured outbound players. Now, as we all know, Diop has uncharacteristically turned into a bit of a petulant child, and he's rumoured to have refused to have been part of the last 3 matchday squads. He's trying to force a move through to Fulham. And it appears Distrop, as he's now known, it looks like he's going to be on his way, because there's no point keeping a player that's doing that, and it's a shame, isn't it? The club have apparently agreed a 15 million fee with Fulham, with add-ons, taking it up to around about 17.5, and he's expected to be making that move across London any day now, so that's imminent. And it is a shame that it had to end this way, because to Issa, I understand that you wanted first team football, but in my opinion, this is no way to conduct yourself as a professional. Now, I do have a soft spot for this player. I always have done. So I do wish him all the best, but it's a real shame that it had to turn sour like this, in my opinion. Now, next we have Nikola Vlasic, who is rumoured to be on the verge of a loan with an option to buy to Torino of Serie A. Napoli are also interested in the 24-year-old Croatian international. And that's a bit of a shame, this one. I genuinely don't think that we've ever given him a good go. Not really. We all know he's a central attacking midfielder. He's not a bloody winger, and that's where he's always been played. So it's hard to kind of judge him for the player that he is. But nonetheless, Moyes don't fancy him, so there's no point in him sticking around, really, is there? Let's face it. And next we have Ben Rama, who is rumoured to be on his way to Nottingham Forest for 25 million. And there's a few clubs, apparently, after his signature. Now, like Diop, it's believed that the player does want to leave. He's not throwing his toys out the pram like Diop. But in Benny's case, although, look, he's not, anyone who watches the channel, you'll know he's not my favourite player. I do completely get it, because like Vlasic, Moyes he's never really given him a go in his favoured position, has he? Which, as we know, is the central attacking midfield slot. I mean, we've just got a load of number 10s. But I think he's probably, in terms of flair and creativity, he's one of the top players. I know he's got his flaws, but I think it would have been nice to have seen him, with the shackles off, just to see what he could have done. He still might not go. I don't know, because if you look at it last season, in terms of his output, his creative output, which is where Vlasic has been woeful, to be quite honest. Ben Rama, although he was played out of position, he was third in the goals and assists table behind Antonio and Bowen, having played far fewer games. So, look, he's clearly not useless, but Moyes doesn't want him again. So it's best all round if the player just, moves on. And with the funds, Moyes can add a player that he will use. And next we have Thomas Souček. Now, we all know that West Ham were trying to offload the Czech international this window, but they failed to find a buyer to meet that fee. The fee that the club were demanding anyway. God knows what that was. But the news now out of the club is that we are in fact willing to accept a lower fee for the player, more in line with what we paid for him. Now look, I still don't believe that we will sell Souček, especially with how light the squad is. I mean, when you're thinking about 4 players, that's 4 players rumoured to be going out. And with our current squad the way it is already, we look incredibly light. So if they were to go, does that mean that we're getting in 4 additional players on top of the ones that we're already looking for to pad the squad out? I don't know. But all I do know is it seems like lunacy to a degree to be attempting this. Feels like a massive mini rebuild of a portion of the squad with just a few weeks left of the window. But look, it is what it is. But look, I suppose, let's get onto the juicy bit, and that is incoming player links, of which there are many. So, first of all, you will have seen it's clear that we need a centre-back. It's clear from the volume of players that we're linked with in this position that our clear priority is a centre-back, preferably a left-sided centre-back. Now, let me take you through the list for what we've been told is the order of preference. First up is Connor Cody of Wolves, the 29-year-old former England international. He's fallen out of favour at Wolves, and he's rumoured to be available for around about 9 million, which is a bit of a bargain in my opinion. I really like this player. Now the story is that we've placed a bid for the player, but due to the volume of centre backs on our books and the fact that he's from Liverpool as well, just like Onana, Cody has opted instead to join Big Fat Frank at Everton. I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm going to start developing a bit of a complex, I think, if we keep on losing out to Everton for players, because they're an absolute basket case of a club at the minute. So yeah, it's a little bit of a strange one. But yeah, he hasn't moved yet, but the rumour is that he prefers Everton. So yeah, bit of a shame. Right, on to the next one. I'll try and pronounce his name. He plays for PSG. This is 25-year-old German international Jan Thilo Kehrer. He's a right-footed centre-back that is he's equally proficient on either side of defence, so he can play right centre-back, left centre-back, doesn't matter. And he can also play as a right-back, but not a left-back, which is a position that we know we need to fill. Now, the transfer fee would be rumoured to be around about 20 to 25 million. And it's because his contract expires next summer. So I'm sure that PSG are going to be keen to move that player on if the price is right. Now, the only stumbling block here that I can see, well, especially after the recent events with Onana, is you guessed it, wages. He's going to be on a serious wage at PSG. He's a German international, so will he be prepared to meet the wage? Will we be prepared to meet the wage demands of this player? I'm not so sure, to be honest, but Moyes appears very keen on this player, and Newman has selected him. He thinks that he'll be a great fit. Now, look, I've watched the player. I'm inclined to agree. I've seen him play a few times, and he's a superb centre-back. He's better than we have already across the board, apart from Dawson, of course. Nobody's better than Virgil, are they? Right, next up on the list is Eric Bailly from Man United, the Senegalese teammate and friend of newcomer Maxwell Cornet. Could it seal the deal? Don't know. You never know. I mean, the only thing I would say is when you're buying quite a few African players, I always worry about when AFCON rolls round. But anyway, we'll worry about that when it happens. Now, the player was expected to be rejoining Jose Mourinho, who signed him for Man United. He was expected to be joining him at Roma this summer, but the deal has stalled, and he's now looking for an alternative club. Now, look, I like this player. I'm not going to judge anybody that has struggled at Man United because they're just a mess, aren't they? Let's face it, and they have been for years. Now, the fact that Mourinho was desperate to sign this player this summer speaks volumes, for him to sign him twice. He's got to be a hard-working and committed player. He's got to be. So if this happens, then for me, it's great. It's great news. He's another right footer that can play on either side. And being at Man United, you can guarantee he's on silly money. So again, like the player I just mentioned, Kehrer, that could be a bit of a sticking point if we do get to contract negotiation stages, because he's not going to be on a low wage. Now the fourth in line to our centre-back throne is this player who we've all spoken about now plenty of times, Salai. Now the 24-year-old Hungarian international, he's a monster. He's huge, 6'4". He's got a leap. His style of play is very Dawson-esque, actually. He plays for Fenerbahce in Turkey, and he's expected to be available for a fee in a region of around about 12.5 million. Now, I think that this is probably more likely to hit the sweet spot with the Board and Moyes with the funds that we've got left, as opposed to Bailly and Kehrer, who, look, like I say, they're no doubt going to be a bit more pricey, certainly on the wages front. I think it's more of a risk than the other two, because they're established players that already play for top teams. But look, I suppose at this point, if it goes on like this, we'll be calling Alvin Martin out of retirement, won't we? So beggars can't be choosers. But I'm not going to play Salai down, because I think he's a very good centre-back. And I think if we got him, he would do a great job for us. Right, I'm going to run you through the remaining centre-back targets that we're linked with. Now, we are linked with Nat Phillips of Liverpool, Diallo of PSG, and the old favourites from the last 15 windows, it seems, Kaletikar and Milinkovic. They're rumours. I mean, I think certainly with Kaletikar and Milinkovic, that just stinks of lazy journalism. But look, they're out there. The articles are out there. We're definitely linked with them. Right, that's centre-backs out of the way. I did tell you it was going to be comprehensive, didn't I? Right, next up we've got left-backs, which I'm going to quickly whiz through because we've reviewed all of these before, barring one. Luke Thomas of Leicester is still linked, as is Grimaldo, who would be my pick, of Benfica, as well as Borna Sosa. Don't quite see that one. It's been reported that we are still after him, but I think he's more of a left wing back. I thought it was Sosa or Cornet, because they're quite similar. But look, I'd be happy if we got him. Be brilliant. I mean, he's a good left back as well. So to have Cornet and Sosa on one side would be outstanding. But yeah, I'm not too sure about that. He won't be cheap. Like I say, Chelsea are after him as well. Now, the player that I've not spoken about before is Charlie Taylor of Burnley. So that's another new name that sort of crops up today. So keep an eye on that one as well. Right, now look, let's move on to the juicy positions, midfield and attack. Now, it appears that we're going all in for a raid on some Chelsea players. Oh, wrong one. So first on the list, we have Conor Gallagher. The 22-year-old box-to-box England international is said to be very keen on this move, and we've been chasing him all window as well. I didn't realise that. And it's not clear whether or not West Ham want a loan or a permanent signing. Now, obviously, Chelsea are always going to prefer the loan because it's just what they do. But if we were to sign him on a permanent basis, you'd probably be looking at a fee around about 40 to 45 million, which is a lot. But when you consider what we were willing to pay for the unproven Onana, I think it'd be a bit of a snip, wouldn't it? I mean, you know what you're getting with Gallagher. Now, for me, look, if you'd have offered me a choice of midfield partners for Dec at the start of this window, when we were linked with Phillips and we were linked with Ward-Prowse and the like, Gallagher was smack bang at the top of that list for me, for those two in midfield. I mean, he is one of the most tenacious, hard-working and energetic players around. He really is. He's got everything. He's got defensive awareness. He's got skill, speed of thought, great passing. He's just got everything, and he's just as effective in the final third as he is at shielding defence as well. So I think it would just be an absolute dream to get Conor Gallagher, and I think Gallagher and Rice as a midfield too would be up there as well. Tell me a better central midfield partnership than that. It would be outstanding. Now, look, I think we have a chance with this deal, and I hope and pray that we do get the deal done, because this is a type of player that will transform the way that we play. Because we've proved at the end of last season pre-season and at the start of this season, where Rice is having to do it all himself in midfield, and this would solve that issue. And if you lose a battle in midfield, you lose the game, in my opinion. That's always been the way. So I think Gallagher would be a tremendous signing. Let me know in the comments what you think anyway. Next up, as you all saw, because I've got the slides the wrong way around, we've got Armando Broja, who we know an awful lot about. The 22-year-old Bosnian international that Moyes has been chasing for the entire window, before opting for Skamaka, of course, which I was very happy about. Well, it seems Moyes does still want this player, and a deal before the window closes is very possible, especially when you consider that Broja is a different type of player to Skamaka. He can play left and he can play right as well. And like I say, he can play anywhere across the front. Now that would be unbelievable if we could pull that off as well, to have Broja as well as an option. It would be amazing. The only issue that we've got is, I've read today, is that you can only loan one player from a club. So if we did get both players, one would need to be a permanent signing, obviously. Now my money would go on Gallagher all day long. I would just want him in and done. Broja is a bit more of a risk, and he's not as important now because we've got Skamaka. So if you're going to loan one, loan Broja. Now, in addition to those two, we're also linked with Loftus-Cheek and the forgotten man at Tuchel. Apparently, he's not even given a squad number 2, Ross Barkley. Now, look, I'm not sure about that one. I don't think many people will be. But we do know that Moyes likes the type of player that wants to rebuild their career. So there's no doubt in Barkley's quality, and if Moyes does want him, then that's fine by me. I think he's probably better than what we've got in that number 10 position at the moment. You know, he's quick, powerful. He can drive the ball, which is what we've been lacking. So anyway, look, out of that little lot from Chelsea, who would be your pick from those players? I think it's the top 2, really, the ones I've done slides for. But that's me. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Now, the other player that we spoke about as well was Sangar of PSV. He was going to be the replacement for Onana, wasn't he? That's what he was going to be. But he's unlikely to be moving now because he's just signed a contract extension. So he's going to cost a lot more money than what he would have last week. So I can't see that happening now. Why would he have signed a new contract if he was going to move? Madness, isn't it? We're still linked with Zielinski as well. Brownhill and my old favourite Cockchew in the midfield positions. I've got a funny feeling about Zielinski. I think that one's got legs. I think I can see something happening there. And when you look at what happened at the weekend, like I say, we're desperately missing something in central midfield to give us that creativity and drive. Now we're also still linked with Dennis and Starr of Watford, 2 players that would definitely add an abundance of pace to our midfield and attack. So keeping an eye on those 2, definitely. And finally, Ben Brereton Diaz, who we've spoken about a lot as well. You know, he's found his shooting boots again, so he would be a fantastic player. Right, okay, well, look, that's the transfer rumour roundup done. Now, let's hope that Moyes gets a fair few of his targets before that window slams shut. I hope you all enjoyed the show, and if you did, please subscribe to our channel, Claret and Booze, and hit that like button for us because it really helps us. Okay, and that's about it from me. Have a good week. Come on, you ads.